Welcome back. We continue to bring you all sorts of reactions on the budget this year. It's a budget which has broadly been seen to be positive, certainly in the markets. Lots of reactions coming in on what many people say is a positive budget in terms of the amount of spending which has actually been encouraged over there. The fiscal deficit at 9.5% of GDP. Many others would suggest that a lot more needed to have been done. But there has been a focus on healthcare, on infrastructure, on capital expenses, and several other areas as well to spur the economy, to get it going in the context of the COVID situation that we find ourselves in. So what we'll do now is take a look at some of the top highlights in the budget and then get reactions on that. So as far as healthcare is concerned, and this is obviously something it's a boost to healthcare on the top of our mind space, 35,000 crores has been allocated for COVID vaccines, and the minister making it clear that there was more available if required. 64,000 crores to the Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana. So again, health is getting a huge priority as far as financial outlay is concerned. An enhanced outlay also as far as infrastructure is concerned. This is obviously important not just for economic growth, but as a spinner of jobs at 1,18,101 lakh crores for the Road Transport Ministry. 3,500 kilometers of national highway will be built in Tamil Nadu at an expense of 1.03 lakh crores, 65,000 crores in Kerala, and in West Bengal as well. Road works for 25,000 crores. Perhaps no coincidence that these are three states heading to the elections, and therefore these announcements at this stage, while clearly important for all of these states, were timed, some would suggest, ahead of these elections. But let's also take a look at, get a couple of reactions now. All right, let's go across to Rajat Sethi and Amitabh Behar, who join us. Amitabh, let me come to you first. The considerable outlay for in the fight against COVID and also in the healthcare sector, it's more than what we've seen in the past. Is that a very positive spend that you see this time around?
So thank you. I would say it's welcome in terms of the intent, but it's extremely inadequate even now. Let me just talk of the health, because
$30.6 billion. That's what the number is. Go ahead.
Sure,
yeah.
but if you just break it down, we are looking at 35,000 crores for the vaccine. Our studies tell us that it's going to be 52,000 crores if you're looking at a free vaccine for all. Then we're talking of the Atmanirbhar Swasth Yojana, and the allocation is, just to remind us, over the next 5 years, which is of 64,000 crores. And if you just look at, say, the National Health Mission Scheme, there's no clear increase. Last year it was 35,500 crores. It's now 37,100 crores. So in this unprecedented year, where we've seen such massive tragedy, particularly because of the virus, I think the increase is inadequate. And with what we need to also factor in, that we were hovering around 1.3 to 1.5% of the GDP in terms of investments in health, which is fourth from the bottom in the global list in terms of our health expenditure. So this is, I would say, fairly inadequate in terms of health. But let me also say that the budget, I would say that it's a huge missed opportunity. This year, at least, we should have looked at some redistributive measures. As in, what we are looking at, not a V-shaped recovery, we've been looking at a K-shaped recovery. So the rich, as the Oxfam report has already said, the billionaires have become richer, whereas the poor have been suffering. And you're not looking at anything to actually change that. Just one more example.
That more needed to have gone in as far as health is concerned. We'll come back to you in just a moment from now. We're joined by Uday Shankar, President of FICCI at this stage. Thanks, Mr. Shankar, very much for being with us. In your mind, what would you say was perhaps the biggest highlight as far as this budget is concerned? Would you say that it's the massive allocation in infra to try and revive the economy, or the significant allocation in, for example, health, given the reality we face at this stage?
I think 2 or 3 very, very clear and bold messages in the budget. One, the commitment from the government to revive the growth trajectory of the economy is very obvious from massive increase in capital expenditure, investment in infra. And on the other hand, I think rarely have the social sectors like healthcare got the kind of attention that this budget has given them, massive increase in allocation. There are two or three other things, So for instance, there is a very unequivocal message towards privatization. You would have noticed that this was very clearly called out, and the finance minister has also articulated a framework within which she expects this privatization to be completed in time, including two public sector banks and one insurance agency. And that's a big one. I think the other thing that I like about this budget is the way the government has made it very clear that dormant land assets, etc., sitting with public sector undertakings would be monetized. I think this couldn't have come a day too soon.
Right.
Those assets are doing nothing for the country. They are doing nothing for the government. They're just sitting lying idle. And finally, I think there has been a very clear recognition of the fact that the economy, entrepreneurs, corporates, and private citizens, they have all gone through an unbearable pain. And as a result of that, there's been no tweaking or tinkering of the taxation.
All right.
It's been left untouched.
But let me ask you this. The fiscal deficit has been pegged at 9.5% of GDP. It's considerably more. It's along the lines of what a lot of people would have expected in terms of a sign of how much the government wants to actually spend to keep the economy going. Would you have been happier with a higher fiscal deficit? World over, economists and others are saying to get economies going, you need to avoid thinking about fiscal deficit from the immediate standpoint. If you agree with that logic, is 9.5% enough?
I think 9.5% is the fiscal deficit for this year, and you could say that there is a school of thought that says that government should not have looked at deficit at all. I'm not sure that was an option, because 9.5% is a steep increase given where we were in terms of our targets. Government has done everything that it could do. Ratcheting up the fiscal deficit is easy, but climbing down is really not easy and creates its own set of challenges. So I think this was the decision that the government had to take, and I think it's the right decision. The important thing is that government has not decided to do a radical climb down from 9.5% to something like 4% or so very quickly. The finance minister has said that over 5 years, she expects it to go below 5%, and next year it will still be 6.8%. So there is in terms of in her desire to rein in the fiscal deficit, she hasn't decided to reduce the supply to the takeoff of the economy.
Okay. The other interesting thing was capital expenditure would be increased to 5.54 lakh crores. That's 34% higher than last year. Again, how important do you believe is this to try and regain the pace which we need?
I think it's absolutely fundamental to regaining the pace of revival, because it does two things. One, the capital expenditure is going to is going to drive the downstream revival of the economy, creation of jobs, employments, etc. So that's very important. And secondly, when government is spending on capital expenditure in such a focused and sort of accelerated way, it also sends out the right signal to the rest of the economy and all the other investors. So I think it also has a very positive effect on private investment.
All right, just one more quick reaction from you, Mr. Shankar. The National Infrastructure Pipeline, that involves creating institutional structures, monetizing assets, enhancing a share of capex in the state and central budgets as well. She's also announced a 20,000 crore amount for a development and financial institution, which aims for a portfolio of 5 lakh crores in 3 years. So if you look at the National Infrastructure Pipeline, the National Infrastructure Mission, what are some of your thoughts here?
No, so I think, again, this was very, very desperately needed. We've been talking about it. FICCI has made multiple submissions to the government and to the finance minister that there's need for a development finance institution, and I think it's just the right thing to have done. And the good news is that she has set the right ambition for it. It'll be capitalized to the tune of 20,000 crores, and she had said clearly that she expects that in the next 3 to 4 years, it will have a book of at least 5 lakh crores, and that's just the right place to be. I think I heard the finance minister say after the budget somewhere that she also thinks that multiple development finance institutions will be required, and she expects even private sector to step into that zone, because the development financing needs of this country are not going to be met by one agency, no matter how big and ambitious that might be. And the direction of that and the beginning of that both are really welcome.
All right. Thanks very much for being with us, Mr. Shankar. We're also joined by Professor Apurva Javadekar, Assistant Professor of Finance at the Indian School of Business. Rohan Gupta of the Congress joins us. Rajat Sethi joins us as well. Our other panelists also with us. Professor Javadekar, let me come to you. Is there any particular area where you would have liked to have seen the finance minister perhaps do more? Or do you believe that in terms of where we have been in our budget, this is as balanced as can be expected?
I mean, given that, thanks for having me on the show. I mean, given the situation we are in, and if we had unlimited resources with us, we would have liked to see more, I think, in every sector. But given the reality that we are a resource-constrained economy, I think what this budget has done is, I think, in the right direction, focusing on capital expenditure rather than revenue expenditure or many of the welfare schemes. I think the budget has hit the nail, because if I have to use a little bit of a jargon, the fiscal multipliers are quite higher for capital expenditure, meaning that extra jobs generated through capital expenditure done by the government is far higher than if the government were to spend money on welfare schemes. So I think I think the budget has given a very good direction, and I think given the constraints, the extra spending that it's going to do is going to be on capital expenditure and through borrowings rather than increasing some sales. Or there were also considerations for wealth tax. I hear from some quarters. I think none of those were implemented, and
sure.
I think it was a very clear direction for the economy, and you can see that from the markets, almost 2,000 points up.
Apurva, let's talk a little bit about the agriculture sector. A target of 16.5 lakh crores as agricultural credit, and also a fund to improve rural infrastructure. That's been hiked by 10,000 crores to 40,000 crores. So a couple of important decisions, the timing not lost to anyone at a time when there are these huge farmer protests. But in terms of agricultural credit, how important is this in terms of, not changing the sector but improving it?
I didn't hear quite well the last part of your question, but what I pick up is that the allocation has been increased towards agriculture, and I mean, I cannot speak to the motives, but I think agriculture is a bedrock of our employment, and in the context that most of these farmers are in the rural and semi-urban areas, I think it's very important that they, the growth of agricultural sector is quite important for generating rural demand. So I think the focus on agricultural sector, not only for this budget, but in the previous budgets has also been there, is quite important for Indian economy.
All right.
Economy. So yeah, so to that extent, I think it's again, I think a well-deserved allocation.
Rohan, let me come across to you. A lot of people would say that this is a budget that's it's strongly encouraged investment. The government is willing to spend itself. There have been promises which have made towards realizing disinvestment goals. The word privatization, in fact, has been used as opposed to disinvestment. Yes, it's not been achieved so far, but there is an indicator that the government wants to spend more, to go well beyond the fiscal deficit we've seen in the past, to push along the disinvestment process as well, to put in money into infrastructure, to put in money into healthcare. This being the case, where does the Congress actually stand as far as this budget is concerned?
See, basically, if we see the economic situation today, I think economy required the immediate measures, the emergency measures for our common man and middle class. I think this budget has miserably failed in giving something directly to our poor and middle class. If you see last 1 year, like if you see the packages of this government of 20 lakh crore or whatever, there is no direct cash which has gone in the pocket of the common man or a middle class. And if you see these unemployment numbers of December, it quite reflects the direction of the policy of this government. Yes, there is a benefit, but for a few suit-boot friends of this government, there is nothing for as MSMEs. 35% of MSMEs have closed their business. Around 37% of small business have been closed. You tell me what is there for these kind of businesses in this budget? Nothing. Yes, there is a infrastructure boost and all, but these are all long-term measures. At the end of the day, what I expected out of it is to give something which is totally short-term and which directly goes in the pocket of common man. Now, if you see petrol, diesel prices, there is no impact. They have imposed cess and reduced duty, so they are looting the same money out of the pockets of common man. If you see income tax left, there is absolutely no change. There is nothing for farmers. So at the end of the day, the expectations which were there for common man, the way finance minister was talking yesterday, this is going to be one of its kind budget in last so many years. I think they have miserably failed. This budget seems to be of few people who are close to this government.
But Rohan, just one
and as a long
point,
term, I
you
don't
said
want
there's
to
nothing for
criticize
farmers.
it as far as
In fact, there seems to be a lot for farmers. The target is of 16.5 lakh crores as agricultural credit. This has gone up. There's a fund which has gone up to 40,000 crores to improve rural infrastructure hikes. There's also an announcement by the finance minister in Parliament on what the government has paid as far as as far as paddy or wheat is concerned. Record numbers is what she indicated. So why would you say that the agriculture sector has not got enough?
See, if you see last year's budget, the budget said that by 2022 we will double the farmers' income. Now, after 1 year we are talking. You tell me what is the progress in that direction? Absolutely not. So see, unless and until it is a concrete thing, I think this government cannot claim, because if you see their track record, they have miserably failed. If you see PM Kisan Nidhi, 44% of the amount is not disbursed during the pandemic time. And now we see that farmers, the 3 laws have been imposed and farmers are sitting against that. So I think what they are talking is an eyewash. They are just making big announcements. But when you see implementation after 1 year...
So let's wait and see what happens as far as implementation is concerned. Rajat, I know you want to come in over here. Couple of points. Firstly, a response to what the points made on agriculture. And the other point mentioned is that has enough been done for MSMEs?
So multiple points were raised, and I think if one were to look into the details, one will get the answers to most of the questions that Rohan was raising. To begin with, I suppose that in terms of agricultural push, it has been very clearly laid out that there has been a clear order change in terms of how much of MSP is to be allotted or given to the farmers. The number of farmers covered under MSP has significantly gone up. And the numbers were shared. Secondly, we all have discussed about the agricultural credit. Overall, rural economy has got a big push. But largely speaking, I think one area which was scarred the most out of COVID was the labor markets. And we still believe that the unemployment rate of 8 and 9%, though much better than what we had seen during the peak of the COVID crisis, which were around 27%. That was the rate of unemployment, which very quickly climbed down and reached at the level of 8-9%. And it's on a steady downward trajectory. And it was this area, job creation, which was central to this budget. And I think what most of the analysts were actually waiting for was this moment when the government finally presses the accelerator with full confidence that infrastructure requires some kind of push that the government has been talking about, but has finally, come up with specific numbers, how they're going to raise the funds, etc. Also remember that during the last year, the entire rhetoric by most of the senior economists around the country and the world was like the government needs to spend. And in today's press conference also, Nirmala ji clearly said that we have spent. And this is the reason why our fiscal deficit have reached to the numbers of 9.5%. It is not a small amount. And this clearly rubbishes the claim that people were making that the government only gave some certain credit extended to some of the sectors and did not actually give cash in hands of the people. This number, this fiscal deficit number, is a clear proof that the government had no no bars when it came to spend as much amount of money to elevate the pain of the people of this country. And I think going forward, one key area that would be a point of concern for all of us would be how unsustainable would be our debt to GDP ratio. It is right now at 80%, and servicing that will continue to be an important area that one needs to keep an eye on.
Okay. Brinda Karat joins us as well at this stage. Thank you, ma'am, very much for being with us. Spend is what the finance minister has said. They're trying to sort of get the economy back on its feet. Do you believe that there is enough in this budget to indicate that we might actually return to that growth path, given that the fiscal deficit number at 9.5% indicates that the government is willing to spend?
First of all, your understanding, or the finance minister's understanding of we've spent, where the figures don't show that. You had a 30 lakh crore budget allocation last time. And if you look at the expenditures up till December, they have spent only 22 lakhs. Now the finance minister has made, as usual, jadoo with the figures to say that they are going to go over 30 lakhs to 34 lakhs, which basically means, if you go by their own figures, for 9 months, they have spent 22 lakhs crores. And they say that they're going to spend up to 34 lakh crores. So where's the spend? They've still got 12 lakh crores to spend in just 3 months. And if you look at the allocations to the ministries, if you look at the small print, you said they've done so much for agriculture. Look at the allocations for the agriculture ministry, it's down. Look at it for education, it's down. And if you look at this huge claim about 137% increase in health and well-being.
Yes.
Health and well-being. But if you look at the small print, actually it's 30,000 crore rupees of that on vaccines. They have to do it. And another similar amount of around 50 or 55,000 crore rupees on what the Finance Commission has mandated they have to give as grants to the states. So the point is, all these bombastic claims, if you actually look at the figures, the main reason for the 9.5 deficit is not because of spend, but it is because of the huge shortfalls in revenue collections. That is the reason for the 9.5% deficit.
Okay. One of the other points mentioned by the finance minister in healthcare was the 64,180 crore fund for the PM Atmanirbhar Swasth Bharat Yojana. Your thoughts on that?
I've looked through the budget figures and the heads. It comes in all kinds of different heads, which are already old programs. So what they have given is 64,000 crores. I don't know where the heading is in the budget papers. I mean, because anyway, it's all online, but I looked for it. Where is the special head of Atma Pradhan Mantri? Pradhan Mantri is everywhere through all the schemes. But where's this head? I don't know. I couldn't find it. So my point is, Vishnu, that first of all, the budget should have actually ensured, even the economic survey said, that don't worry about your deficits. Spend now. Where is the stimulus in this budget? It's zero.
All right.
Where is the stimulus? And if you look at what is required today, look at Manrega. Yes, during a certain period of time, there was an increase in Manrega. Is the government saying now that there's no more need to expand Manrega? Have all the migrant workers come back and
I haven't gotten around to looking at Manrega, but isn't the allocation the same? Is the allocation gone down?
The allocation last time, it was increased in the revised estimates because, as we all know, there was a need for that increase. But that increase in Manrega during this 1 year period in the revised estimates has been brought down. Now, is it the government's case that you don't need that extra expenditure anymore in Manrega? And now look at the food subsidy. As we all know, the government's desperation is to cut down the food subsidy. And I'm telling you, what have they done? Just look at the slate of hand. They owe the FCI something like 3 lakh crore rupees because they've been forcing the FCI to take loans from the small savings fund.
Right.
So what they have done is saying that, okay, we've increased our food subsidies, what they want to show. Actually, what is it? It's an accounting thing. And they're saying we're going to give the 3 lakh crore rupees back to the FCI. But that's not expenditure for the people. And
Right.
whether it is food, whether it is Manrega, whether it is ICDS, now we know the Anganwadis are playing a very critical role. They have an umbrella ICDS scheme. Isn't it shocking that they did not spend 8,000 crores of that allocation in this whole period?
Right. No, I take your point about,
No,
funds
so
having
what-
been allocated but not having been used. And therefore,
But
when you
that's
look
a
at the
huge
numbers
thing.
right now, then you need to be asking whether this fiscal deficit figure actually reflects spend
Not
or
only that,
anything else.
Vishnu, what I'm saying is what the economy required today, the government has totally abdicated from its responsibility. And what it has done, I mean, I would say it's a sell India budget, frankly. I know many of our co-panelists and perhaps some anchors also are very much for the so-called reform process. But I ask you, is this Atmanirbhar?
All right.
You're opening up insurance to 75% FDI. Is this Atmanirbhar?
All right,
Is this
ma'am,
self-reliance?
you've raised lots of questions.
No.
And
So
important ones.
I think this is.
All right, I need to take a short break and try and get a response to a lot of the points that Brinda Karat has made. I'll ask my panelists to actually stay on. We'll come back. Do stay tuned.